Anyways, everybody all pumped up or what? What's going on? Any Democrats in the house? Come on, make me scream! All right. Well, this young lady comes all the way, I think, from the ocean, some way out there, you know. All I know is that she's running against this right-wing extremist Republican by the name of Darrel Issa. Anybody familiar with him? Yeah, woo, yeah! But anyways, I'm honored again to introduce Jeeni Criscenzo, running for the 49th Congressional District.
Probably I'm a new face for most of you because my district is mostly northern San Diego County and southwest Riverside. But you've all heard of Darrel Issa. Anybody here wants to see him stay in office? Yeah. Well, 18 months ago, I heard that nobody was going to run against him. And the person who told me about that was somebody you probably have heard of, Francine Busby. And she said nobody's going to run against him because he's the richest man in Congress, and he has a reputation for being a bully, and frankly, the district is 2-to-1 Republican and Democrat. And I said, well, those don't sound like reasons that he gets to stay in Congress. And she said, well, then why don't you run against him? I've never been one to turn down a dare. I have been against this war since before we went in it. I have been standing up for the people. I'm one of the people. As a candidate, as a federal candidate, and Lewis knows this, and then the others, I have to fill out a financial disclosure statement. And it's public record, and so you can look at Darrel Issa's, and it goes on for pages and pages and pages. And he's worth somewhere around $500 million. I don't think somebody that's worth that much money has a clue what it's like to be one of us. I do. My financial disclosure statement was 1 page, and there was a 0 on it. Now, how dare I run for Congress when I'm not worth a dime? I've managed to raise $70,000. It's actually $110. It's 1/10 of what Darrel raised, and it's every dime is from individuals like you. And if you look at his list of contributors, and you look at how he's voted, you can see that there's a direct line between everyone. I want to tell you a little story, because so many people that I'm talking to are saying, what we're up against is so big. They have so much money, and they are so ruthless, and they're so powerful. How can we make a difference? And that's what my race has been like. It's a real David and Goliath. And yet, you know what? If I hadn't stepped up 18 months ago, all these little miracles that have been happening in the past 18 months that make it possible that I could actually win in November, I would have been saying, oh, wow, I really missed the chance. So I want to say to all of you that we can't feel powerless. But I have a story to tell you why I feel that way. 2 years ago, I was in Florida. I was traveling around the country writing about what's going on, what's really going on, what the press isn't telling you. And I was writing a daily blog called CPR for Democracy. And I was in Florida, and I was staying with a couple of seniors in a senior center called Sun City, similar to the one here. And there was a small core of Democrats there. Mostly it was Republicans, but those Democrats were feisty. And Barbara Boxer was going to come to their community center to plug her son running for Congress, for president. And these Democrats said, we're going to go out there and we're going to demonstrate for Kerry. And they were so organized. They got all their golf carts decorated and all lined up. But unlike most of the activists that I've been writing about, they were going to listen to the law every step of the way. You couldn't put any signs in the median, and you had to be on the side, and we couldn't say anything against George Bush because Barbara Bush was his mother. And so I'm watching them, and they're all there with their signs for Kerry and their anti-war signs, and they had it all set up so that they had signs that said, vote if you're for Kerry. And so they were stopping traffic, and all these people were annoyed for being in traffic, and all these horns were beeping, and it looked like everybody was for Kerry. But I looked at them and I said, you know, this is great, but it's not going to change a thing. All of this, it's not going to change a thing, because what we're up against is so big, and they're so small, they're like ants. And at that moment, the universe is so powerful. I felt this excruciating pain in my legs, and I looked down and realized I was standing next to a fire ant now. And I was covered with fire ants. And I had on tight jeans, and they had crawled up inside and down into my socks, and they all waited and bit at one time. And I couldn't get them off. I had to run to the car, and I had to run to the house, and I'm showering the stuff off. And as I'm brushing them off, they're biting my hands. And I was breaking out in blisters from these things. And those little suckers, they took me down. And then I realized, compared to them, I was this huge, huge monster. And they got me. And that's what we're up against. And that's what we need to do. We need to work together and come in under the radar, just like I'm doing with Darrel Issa. And we're going to win. We're going to win. Okay?
I think those fire ants need to go find some Republicans.